Okay.
And I know what you guys are about,
And what is that?
I get it. Filming, I know you're trying to keep the police accountable for what they do, and I totally understand that. I really do get it. The fact that he's being filmed by you is even putting more strain on his mind right now.
And you know this how?
Because I've been talking with him for almost an hour before we finally decided to get mental health involved and try to get him some help.
Do you work for the state?
I do not.
You do
well,
not?
I do.
Or, you know, there's been times where when my mom passed away, I did a lot of walking, and I cried and I was screaming. And I wouldn't want anybody calling the cops on me in that mental state.
All I did is said, hey man, are you all right? And he shook his head no, and I gave him a hug. And then he started talking to me.
Who called the cops?
I had a woman who, well, I called.
In my opinion, though, I don't believe that the cops help situations like this with people with mental disabilities. So I do believe that it's important for us to be here as well, documenting this.
Do you know him?
No, we're with the news.
You're really not helping the situation.
Well, we're at the news. Okay. I don't want to get fired.
I don't care. But just let me tell you what's going on.
Yeah.
And if you have any sort of compassion, then you might just put your phone down. Right. This guy's having kind of a mental issue right now. I know him.
All right.
I've seen him around the school. He's having a really tough time right now. What he does for a job is kind of sensitive, and him being filmed right now is not helping his mental state. And what we're trying to do is trying to get him some help. The fact that he's being filmed by you is even putting more strain on his mind right now.
And you know this how?
Because I've been talking with him for almost an hour before we finally decided to get mental health involved and try to get him some help.
Do you work for the state?
I do not.
You do not?
I do.
Or the county?
I do.
You do?
But I'm not an official here. I work for the water department.
Are you specifically involved in this right here, now?
I'm involved in this because I've seen the guy. I think goes to school with us.
Let me tell you this: if you guys wanted to help his mental state, getting the police involved is not the best thing to do.
Well, the police, okay, but you don't know.
So what we do is we just record police interactions. We don't know about what's going on.
Right.
Thank you for informing us.
But what I'm telling you
help
is
them out.
Okay, so the mental evaluation team is coming here right now.
Okay.
And I know what you guys are about,
And what is that?
I get it. Filming, I know you're trying to keep the police accountable for what they do, and I totally understand that. I really do get it, but.
That other cop over there, every time I see him, he always has a really good attitude. He waves, he says hi to us, he talks to us. Good. This cop right there, he thought he had like presumed authority. He said, you guys, I really don't mind you guys recording. I don't think he understands that. It doesn't matter if he minds or not, you know what I'm saying? Well, I'm just a new channel. I'm a small channel just starting out.
Okay.
So
I've seen you guys. And,
yeah.
I mean, I get both sides of it, man.
Right.
Like I worked on an ambulance for a really long time. I get it. I know that there are cops who need to be pressed and like that. I'm not even worried about that. I just know like the mental state of what's going on with him right now. Only because this is the only reason I'm even here. I walked my kid to school today. I'm on my way home. I saw him hysterically crying on the phone. All I did is said, "Hey man, are you all right?" And he shook his head no, and I gave him a hug. And then he started talking to me.
Who called the cops?
I had a woman who, I called my pastor. I texted him and I asked him, is there someone that can come down here and help me out? There was a woman passing by. As he took a phone call, I kind of stepped off and asked the woman who was walking in the park, I said, can you call the non-emergency line and get we need the mental evaluation team because again, I don't want to talk about his circumstance or what's going on.
No, that's why we're staying a safe distance back. We're not trying to get any private conversation. We're just.
I get it. I just think him seeing this more attention is just not helping him mentally.
Well, I honestly, man, I would say we have a difference of opinions. I think, there's been times where when my mom passed away, I did a lot of walking and I cried and I was screaming, and I wouldn't want anybody calling the cops on me in that mental state. You know what I mean?
Hold on.
And I got to tell you, man, if somebody would have called
the
okay, but if somebody would have called the cops
for 40 minutes, I have sat in the back of ambulance with people who are in a state that
I understand, man. But nonetheless, I personally, in my opinion, though, I don't believe that the cops help situations like this with people with mental disabilities. So I do believe that it's important for us to be here as well, documenting this to make sure that the cops, like this one right here, who didn't even understand.
You have the free right to do that.
Yeah, I know.
I was just asking nicely because
no, you did ask nicely. You're actually being a gentleman,
it's
man,
not,
and I respect you for that. Thank you.
My name's Anthony, by the way.
David.
I'm just asking nicely because I know that state. Like I said, I've got a lot of experience. I spent many years in the back of an ambulance with people in this state. I had a conversation with him, and I'm not going to get into that, but I had a conversation for almost 40 minutes where I thought to myself, this man needs some sort of mental health. And the difference of opinion, we can have that, but I'll tell you this, I don't think that the county should be sending mental health people out to people that are in his condition. You definitely have to have a police officer come and make sure the situation's safe. And guess what? Now there's mental health coming, and that's been confirmed.
No, that's good.
That's the right way to do it.
So 3 weeks ago in Jeffersonville, Indiana, the same thing happened with a vet going through PTSD, had a crisis. Somebody called the police department instead of a mental health evaluation team, and they shot him and killed him. And so this happened just less than a month ago. So that's why it's important for us to come out and document these situations. He's going through another mental crisis, PTSD.
Okay. But I'm saying, regardless, though, like did he pose? Is there video of that? Did he pose a threat?
Of course,
to the police officer?
you can find the videos on it right now. There's a channel called For Public Safety that had posted it a month ago. They did a follow-up at the same police department. The chief tried to kick him out of the building just because they're asking questions with him. So it's important what we're doing. We're just trying to document the situation. We're not trying to agitate anybody, but we're just here to try and document the situation, make sure everyone's safe. Exactly. Police departments are really trained to handle things like this.
You're exactly right. And police officers should be trained a lot more than they are. But given put in a position where they have to defend themselves so they can go home, things happen.
But I mean, there's one thing that I say on my channel a lot, and I'm not interested in officer safety. I'm interested in public safety. That's what I pay for. I pay a lot of taxes as well. You know what I mean? I'm not interested in officer safety. I don't pay them.
Dark alley with a guy who
I don't
says
pay them to go home to at the end of the day. I pay them to go in and save kids. In a school where somebody's shooting.
Well,
you know
do their
what I mean?
job for a day, bud.
I mean,
do their job. Okay.
I don't want to be on welfare. That makes any sense.
Show up on a call at 3 a.m. that a man ran down an alley with a gun after shooting.
I understand.
And you're going to chase down an alley.
I understand they got a tough job. But let me respond by saying this. Let me respond by saying this. Should a cop even become a cop without even knowing the First Amendment of the Constitution? Because the people have natural rights.
You're
these cops,
right.
None of these cops seem to know it. A high percentage of cops on my channel, none of them seem to know it.
You're right.
And
there should be more education when it comes to the law and legislation. You're absolutely right.
And when we pay their salary, there should be no reason why they don't educate themselves because they're well paid for it. So they should go into every situation like this one being well trained on how to deal with these things.
I don't know if $60,000 a year is well paid. So.
These cops, Bakersfield cops make more than $60,000 a year.
Well, I mean, with overtime and
there's certain places, North Carolina, other places where they make $30,000, $60,000 a year, but not in Bakersfield. Bakersfield, all of them clear over $100,000 easy.
Yeah,
some of these 3 stripers, the guys that wear the 3 chevrons, those guys are getting paid well over $200,000. So they make very good money, and none of them seem to know the First Amendment of the Constitution, the simplicity of it, man. These are our natural rights, and I'm not anti-police. I just see things and I point them out, and it's very easy to point out when you have patterns. You know what I mean? I do speak to a lot of cops. I have a retired cop who wrote a book from what he learned from my channel, was inspired. He's about to write a second book. Retired fish and game warden, Dave McCrae. Shout out to you, brother. They see the importance of what we do.
Right. There needs to be more education, and they don't get the training that they should. I 100% agree with you on that. But it is what it is, and you're not going to change that on the police level. They can fight for all they want.
Well, I'll tell you what, man.
They're part of unions, and then all they can do is advocate for getting that education.
And let me tell you this, perception is everything, and your guys' perception of us before even speaking to us might be one thing because we're ready to record in the situation. What we do on our platforms is to educate people on their constitutional rights.
I'm well aware of what you guys do. I'm familiar with the YouTube channels. I don't know if any of you guys are part of the ones that I've seen, but I know what it's about, and I know.
And we educate police officers and public alike, We don't discriminate on who gets the education or not. So I think this is something, man, that everybody can agree on, that once you start seeing the patterns, you can't unsee these things. You know what I mean? And I'll challenge you to go find one video on the internet today where a cop gets sworn in, where he actually knows the oath that he's swearing to. They don't know it, man. This is an embarrassment. And we wonder why we're having a lot of problems in this country. And it doesn't matter who you are, who you want to be. I think we all need to collectively understand that we need to have and know our natural born rights, man. And the Constitution, they don't give us our rights. These documents, the Bill of Rights, they don't give us our rights. We were born with natural rights. These documents limit the scope of authority that these cops have over we the people.
You're
you know
right
what I mean?
That. I can't disagree with that. I think you're lucky to be in Bakersfield, where the cops probably have that same sentiment that you do.
Well, we live in the deadliest
killing county.
We live in the deadliest county for police justified killings, and they've been covering up a lot of stuff for a long time. I'm not saying they're all bad, but there's been a lot of cover-ups. You start to see a lot of these families that have issues with these cops that have cover-ups and body cam gone missing. There's a lot, man. Well, there's a lot.
I haven't watched it. So
well, they don't show it to you. They don't show it to us on Fox. They don't show it to us on Channel 17.
Things, you know? Think about the people who are more
advertised to me, and I'm more of a right-wing person.
Well, think about this.
So it was plenty advertised to me.
We are on the more fortunate side of those events. Think about the families and the people who are on the unfortunate side of those events. You know,
I've been doing this a long time. I try to I put transparency in my channel name because I wanted to highlight the good and the bad. I don't want to just show the bad. I wanted to have dialogue with these officers. I wanted to talk to them, get to know them on a personal level. Everybody in Bakersfield should get to know these guys and know who's patrolling their areas. You know what I mean? Some cops, what if you have a cop that lives down the way? Let's say he lives in Lamont or somewhere else, and he's just coming to Bakersfield to work and just wreaking havoc on the people. For instance, we got to know who he is.
And like I said, the only reason I got involved with this is, dude, I'd have been back in bed watching probably YouTube right now. You know, I turned the corner, I saw this guy needed some help, and the first thing I did was text my pastor, and he sent him, and he was here in 10 minutes. And I don't know, the further it, like I said, I spent a lot of time on an ambulance, and I recognized the fear in his voice, the words in his voice that he was using was, he didn't, again, I'm not going to tell you what he said, but I was scared for him. I was scared for what he would do if he left here to go home, and I don't want to hear that again. I can't see that.
And let me tell you this much, if that guy needed anything from us, this guy especially, we've learned from him, he's got a big heart. He's willing to help out a lot of people, so. You know, we're not here to, like I said, antagonize anyone, rile anyone up. But we're here to just promote transparency, document the situation, and after it's all done, if anybody needs
what
any help.
What he was telling me was, like, I don't want any here. Like, I'm cool talking with you. I just don't want anyone else here. And then when he showed up, anxiety went up even further. And then there's 3 strangers here filming him. I get it, and I get what you guys are doing, sort of. We might have a disagreement opinion on that.
And I'll tell you what, man.
I get the idea of it.
When I started,
I just think
I was a jerk off, okay? When I started doing this, I was kind of a jerk off. All right, I didn't know what I was doing. I thought that all police were bad. And then I started to uncover patterns and see things, and I started to approach this in a level-headed way. I don't look at them as evil people just because they're wearing that uniform. They got to show me something that they're either good or they're bad. You know, a lot of cops, like this one over here, every time he sees me, very respectful. He's like, hey, how you guys doing? Like, he always, can I get your name and badge number really quick so I can document the scene? No problem. Name, badge number. Some of these other cops, they don't want to give it. You know, it's weird to me how they put a millimeter in size and the badge number millimeter in size, and they don't want to say their name and badge number. But then if you get close, they're like, oh, officer safety, back up. So how are we ever supposed to address them or file a complaint if we need to? It's like, there's a lot of things that I can point out, man. And it's not all for the bad, man. I do this for the right reasons. I have good intentions, you know, and like I said, when I started, I was kind of a jerk off, man. I was kind of an asshole to these guys. And the more I did this, the more I started to understand what I was doing. Then I started to understand the human aspect of it all, you know. And I understand that cops are human, you know. They don't bleed blue, none of that stuff. They're human beings, man, and that's how I like to treat them. But when they start to treat me...
That's the thing, like, when I see some of the types of the genre of videos that you guys do, I hear these guys and it makes me go, fuck those guys.
Right.
Fuck them. They don't know what it's like. And I've never had to run in that alley. Like I said, I spent a lot of time on an ambulance and I've been in some pretty hairy positions. I've seen my share of catastrophic events. And I hear these guys, especially some young kid going there going, why are you, I think, shut the fuck up. You don't know the first thing about showing up in the middle of the night in a situation that you have no control over, but you're there to help. And you make those decisions based on whatever. And training, yeah, some of it goes back to training. Some of it's just basic flight or flight, you know? You're protecting yourself.
I feel like
you feel in danger. Sometimes those situations go the wrong way.
I begin to understand policing a lot more than when I first started, and there's departments up and down the country right now that are having problems hiring cops. A lot of people don't want to become cops no more.
And you know what? I think that may be a good thing. I think there are people who like to become cops
for different reasons.
They want to be. I'm here. I'm telling you what to do, and they got beat at home, or they don't get the power they do in their life, and they show up and they're like, guess what? I got this and I got this, and you do what the hell I say, and that's pure and simple. Yeah. I think the good part of what you guys are doing is weeding those people out because they know they're going to get called on it. They don't even try. They're not even going to show up for the interview.
So do you have a scanner or something that you knew they were here, or you just happen to be driving by?
Yeah, I every once in a while when I first started out, I used to use a scanner a lot, but I found myself just chasing them all the time and just time consuming.
Right.
Now I just go on about my day. Let me just say this, okay? I believe that every person should record interactions with, if maybe not the cops, your own interaction, because I don't know if you guys know this, but every installation, every government agency is a business, and we are all clients, all right? You have the right to record and ask questions in your transactions with your government, with that business. This is your business. It's always gonna be your word against theirs. If you don't document it, let's say you go to the DMV and there's a rude lady, right? And on purposely, you give her your address correctly, but she's got an attitude, right? And she sends your tags to the wrong place. You get your car impounded. You got to deal with a whole bunch of shit because you have a public servant who isn't doing their job correctly or just feels entitled or whatnot, right? Treating you like crap. If you don't record and address this, she's gonna do it to the next person too, and the next person. And that's why these types of things, I try to tell people, I don't have to go out and chase cops down. If I see him, I'm gonna get off and record. If I'm doing a transaction with my government, whatever my business is, I'm gonna record my business with my government, because that's a transaction. Everybody should be doing that. This country should learn and understand that. We're never gonna fix misappropriation of funds, government overspending, corruption. There's corruption in every fucking county. I'm talking about mafia type shit. These motherfuckers are taking all our money and doing whatever the fuck they want. You're telling me they're buying $30,000, $60,000 worth of fucking flowers and half of them are dead? Nah, they're pocketing that shit. They're doing it up and down this country. And they don't want us asking questions. They don't want us recording, and they don't want us asking questions. Let them do what the fuck they want to do. I'm passionate about what I do, man.
Yeah, I could too.
I'm passionate, and I know my shit. I've been on, and I was afraid to go on channels like David Nino Rodriguez. You know who he is? He's a conservative channel. Right? I was afraid to go on there. I thought I was gonna get hammered because it's kind of like a back to blue type crowd. 99.9% positivity. Bring this guy back. We need more of this shit. This country needs to talk about this more. This guy knows what he's talking about.
I think
what we do is really a public service.
Officers here will probably agree with that. They're just guys like you and I. You know? They walk their kids to school when they're not working. You know, all they want to do is be happy. They want other people to be happy.
I want to be happy paying them knowing that they know the First Amendment of the Constitution. At least that.
I think certainly phones, video, that sort of thing is definitely ushered in an urgency to law enforcement everywhere that you better know your thing. You better know your stuff.
Absolutely.
You got it. And you're seeing that more and more with...
I'm the guy that's pushing it.